Our speaker today is James Yoik. He's an Extension Associate here at North Carolina State University Extension Forestry. And he works in an administrative role as the Vice President of our North Carolina Tree Farm program. James, it's all up to you now.
Well, welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. This is week 2 of 4 sessions that we're working on. And the reason I had my Vice President of Administration role up there is because last week we were looking a lot at a product that has been developed by the American Forest Foundation. So I was trying to earn my keep with them. But I do work for Cooperative Extension, and one of the things that I end up doing is a lot of mapping work here, for, both analysis work within our department, and I also, one of my key jobs that I'd like to do is to work with landowners on showing them inexpensive and very simple ways of mapping their land. So I put together a lot of programs for that, and I also work one-on-one with folks too. So you see my email down here. Don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and we can make a phone call and work with you that way. So anyway, what we're going to do is take a look at some of the ways that we can obtain information for our property, and this is all really good information if we're going to be developing a forest management plan or a conservation plan for our land. And so want you to be aware of a lot of different forms of information that's right at your fingertips, and it's right online, and it's all free. And then in January, on the last 2 weeks, we will see how to apply some of this information using a very simple mapping tool called Google Earth. Okay, all of these actually that we're looking at here, these 4 areas that we'll be covering today, are interactive mapping websites, and they all do different things. And so they're all real important, and I want everybody to be aware of it. First, we're going to look at is the county-based interactive mappings, typically done through your tax office or some other office within your county. And we're going to look at 3 examples of that. 6 people had provided me their counties, and hopefully they've all attended today. However, I'm only going to be able to take a look at 2. And I'll explain what some of the situations are with the other 4. Everybody who did email me last time does have access to that type of information. It's just that it's always a little bit different. Counties are not standard at all. So I picked the ones that are really good for demonstration, and the other ones I can help walk people through. The other area that we're going to be looking at is the web soil survey, how you can develop really a customized soil survey for your property. Excellent tool. Hopefully you'll all be out using that if you're not already after today. Next, we're going to take a look at an example of ways of finding information about rare and endangered species sites. We're going to be using, for example, our North Carolina Natural Heritage website, and take a look at what they have to offer and where they're going in the future. And lastly, invasive plants. I'm going to give you lots of good information on where you can get detailed information about invasive plants. And if we have time permitting, we only have about 40 minutes to do all this. Time permitting, we'll go out and take a look at the early detection and distribution mapping system offered by UGA and U.S. Forest Service. I believe the 2 partners in that. So anyway, moving forward, examples that we're going to be drawing from today are going to be primarily from North Carolina. The 2 mapping sites that we're going to be looking at from the folks who had emailed in is going to be from Mississippi and from Minnesota. Okay, so I noticed there were a lot of that actually covers the bulk of the folks who are attending today. And there are some really good ones out in the western states. I've used them in the past as well, but I think this is you'll get a really good idea of how some of these things work. So county mapping sites. Basically, they can give you important parcel and tax information. They can provide you with boundary and other map data that you can include in things such as My Land Plan or in Google Earth. One thing that's kind of a key tip, though, is many of the GIS servers that work with these interactive mapping sites work best using either IE or Firefox. I love Google Chrome, but it blows out a lot, or I'll get error messages sometimes when I go to these interactive mapping sites. Firefox, I think, has been my biggest success, and that's the browser I'm going to be using when we go out to these sites. Then the other thing is, not all sites are created equal. Even in good old North Carolina, we have 100 counties in this state, and no two counties are alike in terms of how their GIS is set up. Everybody offers different types of information, has different tools. It's really just it's very interesting, and eventually someday I'm sure it'll all standardize. But at this point in time, you just have to take what your county is able to give you. They've been left very autonomous when it comes to dishing out digital data. So how you get started is you Google something like Haywood County, North Carolina GIS. So the thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into application sharing, and I'm going to share my desktop with everybody. And I'm not sure. I'm looking on my other computer to see if the application sharing has begun. Doesn't look like it has. Oh, wait, let me see. Yeah, interesting. Okay, well, let's just try it on Firefox and see what happens. There we go. All right. So I'm just sharing the applications that I have on Firefox. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a Google search. I'm already in the website, but just so you can see how that works. Basically, I just typed in Haywood County GIS, and usually you want to check the state because a lot of times states have similar. Jackson is in a number of southern states, and so you may inadvertently open up Jackson, Georgia, or something by accident. So I opened up the North Carolina website, and what I'm trying to watch the refresh rate on my other computer to make sure that you guys don't get left behind. What it shows is a backdrop of the county, and this Haywood County is, in my estimate, is an example of a really well done interactive mapping site. And so hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and make sure it doesn't blow up on us. So anyway, the first thing we want to do is if you know where you want to go, you could click on the zoom in tool and then just draw a box and zoom in. We're going to take a look at all these tools here, and but if you happen to know other information that you can really narrow down the search, either by owner name, or if you happen to know the parcel identification number, those sorts of things, or if you happen to know the address. I happen to know in this case the address results in no, it doesn't find that particular address. So I was kind of out of luck on the parcel that I'm going to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a name. I have a friend up in the mountains there, and click search. And what it does is as you can see as the refresh takes place, that it highlights some parcels, okay? And it also, on the left-hand side of the screen, it shows you information for each one of those parcels. And so if I want, it allows me to zoom in on one, and so I went ahead and selected the second one down, and what it did was it zoomed me into that particular parcel, and that's, in this case, happens to be the one I'm interested in. Okay, so just still waiting for that refresh to take place. It's one of the flaws with doing this class online is Collaborate is a little bit slow in doing the refresh rates for high density pictures. So anyway, if that is the one, I can get more information on it. I can click on details, and a bunch of information appears up on the left-hand side, such as the acreage, the PIN number, some important tax information. And I don't know if you could see those numbers, but this is very, very, for you foresters out there trying to convince landowners to get involved with present use value, this is one of those classic examples. Land is, the market value is worth about $500,000. They got deferred about 4/5 of that. So that greatly reduced their tax value, how much they have to pay on an annual basis for that 100 acres. So anyway, so that's good information. And now, for those of you who want to actually capture this information, I want to show you a little trick. On my computer, I've got this this tool here called the snipping tool. Okay, and I think you can probably see it. It may be just a little bit out of your view, but it looks like a pair of scissors. If you don't know how to get the snipping tool, the best thing to do is to click on your Start button if you're in Windows, and then down where it says Search, toward the bottom, you type in snipping. And it will essentially pull up that snipping tool. I'm looking over at my other computer, and it looks like it's not refreshed to that. But if you're having trouble finding that snipping tool here, I'll try it again. It looks like it finally refreshed. Now, I guess what it's doing is when I've got a Windows-based dialog open, it blacks it out, so you can't see what's going on there, unfortunately. But if you have trouble, email me. I can walk you through how to get the snipping tool. Once you get the snipping tool up and running, you just click on it, and it grays out my picture. And I know you can't see what's going on, but it kind of grayed out my picture a little bit. Allows me to draw a box around it and capture that information inside that picture there. I think I know. I know why it's doing this. It's because I've got. I wasn't able to get the full. Let's see. I'm going to do this application sharing again. I'm going to go back and try. Having trouble with this application sharing today. Let's try that. See if that works. Okay, good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so now you can see the image that I captured. Okay, and that's the first thing that's popping out. And basically, it's just a JPEG image. Now I can, since that refreshes, I can go to Edit and Copy, and then open up a Word document and go Edit, Paste, and it'll paste that right in there. So I can start typing information about it. Okay, so that's really a very handy tool to be able to snip the information off of any one of these mapping sites. So I'm not going to keep that picture, so I just went ahead and deleted it. But so back into the mapping application here, I wanted to show you a couple of important pieces of information. What we're seeing on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, is the search results. And you can see other information on that left-hand side too. If I click on Select Viewable Layers right here, it shows me all the information that the Haywood County mapping site is offering me to see, okay? So if you look, you can see there's parcels. Go down a little further, transportation, states. Oh, look at that, soil maps. Interesting. Let me turn that on. Give it a second to refresh. There's all the soils that happen to be inside the boundary. Well, in and out of the boundary, but it clearly shows which ones are inside your boundary. I can use my snipping tool again, snip that, and paste that into a Word document. Now I've got information on my soils, and it's a matter of me looking up those codes in the soil survey. I'm going to turn the soils off, and other information that they happen to show you is things such as farmland preservation. Is that in a farmland preservation area? Sure enough, that particular piece is. Topographic information. In this case, they have 20-foot topos. We'll give that a second to load up. That may take a second to refresh there. But you can see that the topographic information is very, very important information when you're trying to make decisions about what to do where on your property, as are the soils. So that's good information, and of course there's 5-foot contours as well, but this happens to be the mountains of North Carolina. I'd rather not wait for that to load up. That would take quite a while. Also, you could look at, in this case, you could look at aerial photography in different years. So they actually offer you a cross-section of different years. That allows you to see different changes that have taken place. So a lot of good information for any forest management plan. You've got these basic tools, and this is the thing that you will see that's pretty common in just about any interactive mapping website. You have a zoom in tool, a zoom out. The zoom in tool basically is you just draw a box around the area, and then it zooms you in. Okay. The zoom out basically does the same thing. You draw a box with it and it zooms you out. The pan tool, basically, if you select that tool and just start dragging, you grab it with your mouse and start dragging, it will allow you to center information the way you want to, where you want to see it. Okay. Typically, a lot of them will have some form of zoom in or zoom level, previous view, next view. So if I wanted to go back to the previous view that I just had, I would click that, and notice as it refreshes, you'll see it shifted it back to where it was prior to this. A lot of them will have some form of fold, and that just zooms you all the way back out to the county level. A lot of them also have an eye or an identify tool, and that's kind of cool. It allows you to see what's going on in properties around you too. So you can go ahead and click on the identify tool, and I've just clicked on the property that was just to the west of this one, and you can see all the information about that property comes up as well. Okay. The select tool allows you to just go ahead and select a property, and it centers it to the center of your screen and shows you all the information on it. Okay, kind of like the identify tool, only in this case it actually selects it for you. A clear will typically clear whatever you have selected. So I just hit that button, and it takes the blue line off of that. I intentionally left measure behind to last because that's a very important tool, especially for those of you who hope to do acreage calculations within Google Earth. You'll find out that Google Earth does not allow for acreage calculations. So the measure tool is very important from that standpoint, in that typically you can measure lengths or areas. So I'm going to just do a really quick example. Typically they will give you some sort of a disclaimer and or directions on how to use it. But I don't know if you can see this popping up, but I'm trying to go very slow so you can see. I'm basically just using the my mouse to digitize an area on here, and each time I do, the acreage grows. It gets bigger in that box up there. Okay, so let's say I wanted to get the area of that field that's right there. It's about 38 acres. Okay, now if I'm really slick, I can go ahead and do my use my snipping tool, snip that out. It has all the information. I can paste that in Word, and I don't have to go back and do this again. So essentially, that's how the Haywood County website's set up. There's a lot more things you can do, but I wanted to bounce over in the view of time and take a look at a couple of these other ones. First, we're going to go to Sumter, and that's in oh, I said Mississippi before. I'm wrong. It's Alabama that we're going to Sumter. And so basically I just did a Google search before on the Sumter, Alabama GIS, and it brought me to this website. All right, quite a bit different. A couple of things that make it different is, one is you can set it to the big map. If I click on that, basically it fills the whole screen up with the map, which is kind of nice. Takes a lot of that information out. That way you can really zoom in on things. Or you can go back to the small map, which I'm going to do for now. And over on the left-hand side, it has search by owner's name or locations. I happen to have the parcel number of a property I want to go to, so I'm just typing that in. Oops. And then I hit search. And it finds it. It loads it up at the bottom of the screen here. Okay, there's the parcel, lots of good information on it. And then it also has this little zoom tool right here. So I click on that, and what it does is it zooms me into that property. Okay. Now, I don't have aerial photography turned on automatically. That's up here where I see county overlays, and aerial photos are just turned off. And so now you can see the aerial photography. It doesn't tell me what year it is. That might be under Show Legend. And so if I click on Show Legend, now it gives me a movable legend and shows all the information that I've got on there. So you can see, unfortunately, this doesn't have soils as I'm moving up and down through there, but it does let you see other pieces of information. Okay, so good information there. And again, I could zoom in, zoom out. I notice I have a measure tool, so it allows me to draw an area and get the acreage within that. And so playing around with the big map, and of course with these tools here, basically the same ones. There's your zoom in, your zoom out, and measure up here. You could move around through the map and do acreage calculations. Snip those out and paste those into a Word document, and you're all set. So very nice little website. Another really good one is the one over in Minnesota. And when you what you have to do to get out to this one is you go to Pine County, go to the Pine County, Minnesota website first of all, and so you just Google Pine County, Minnesota. It'll get you out to this website right here, and on the right-hand side, you'll see online property information. You click on that. It gives you a little disclaimer. I agree to the terms, conditions above. Click on that, and it brings you to this site. Now, here you can do a parcel ID, or a name search, or an address. If you want to just go straight out to the map, you click on map right up that little tab right there. I happen to have a parcel ID that I'm going to go ahead and type in, and let me see if this one works. And I hit search, and it found it. Okay, it gives me some information. Now the thing about their website is you have to create a logon the very first time you go there, and then they provide you with more information that you can get when you get your user account with them. But if you go down a little further, you can see tax values and those sorts of, all the public information that's available out there. So to actually see it, I click on map, and it zooms me into that parcel. Very nice little website, very similar to the last website we were looking at. It's got this has a floating toolbar, and this tool right here will toggle the map size. So if I want to see I want to fill the screen up with the full map, and so I could zoom in, zoom around, and do all that good stuff. It gives me the full view of that information. So again, some old friends. There's that information tool, that identify tool. I can click on parcels all around it, and it will pull up the information for me. Zoom in, there's the pan. This will delete a selected one. The other, on the Haywood County map site, it looked like a trash can. Here it's an eraser. There's your measure tool. Okay, so you click on that, and you've got area and length. So again, just very, very similar pieces of information. And every one of these websites actually does allow you to print out a hard copy. I tend not to do that. I tend to feel I really am hooked on just clipping it out and pasting it in my own documents, and that way I can do whatever I want with it, and I can print it out later. A lot of them, one thing that you may want to be aware of is a lot of these websites will give you a scale bar as well. You got to look for it, and when you're snipping out your area, you make sure that you get that scale bar in there, so that prints out with it when you post it onto your Word document. That way you have some form of scale with it. So anyway, I know you probably have some questions about these. You can go ahead and type them in, and we will try to address these in a couple of minutes. It looks like I've got about 15 more minutes to cover 3 more topics. This was the most important one, I think, is just to get folks out and exploring through some of their county websites. Very important for consultants and all state employees who deal with landowners to be able to access this information. All right, so moving on, we're going to go out and take a look at the NRCS Web Soil Survey. Wonderful tool, came out 7-8 years ago, and it's only been getting better every year. They keep adding more information to it, and it's very simple to use. Best way of finding it is just on your computer. Just type in, just Google Web Soil Survey. You could even try WSS. Sometimes it finds it, depends on the browser you're using. But by the way, on your handouts, I've given you a whole walkthrough on this, and I keep that in reserve in case the government shuts down or something, and I don't have access to the Web Soil Survey. So that those slides, the handouts that you get downloaded with you, will walk you through all this as well. So you go to Web Soil Survey, and gives you a little bit of information about it. First thing I do is I just hit the big green button in the middle. It says Start. And what it does is it gets me out to a series of tabs: Area of Interest, Soil Map, Soil Data Explorer. I don't tend to download soils data that much from this site. And then the shopping cart, which is where you actually check out your data. And it is free, so it's not like, you know, our Christmas shopping right now. A lot of ways of creating an area of interest. They call it the AOI. One is, if you are savvy with ArcGIS, you can actually create a shapefile and import that in there. We're not going to play that game. We're going to just go ahead and type in an address. And this address is basically the same one we were just looking at. Only this time it actually is able to find it. Betsy's Gap Road in Clyde, North Carolina. I type that in and hit View. And it actually found it. Now it takes a little while for this to refresh itself, and it's actually using Google Photography in the background. But it looks like it's operating a little bit slow for me right now. So this may not be the actual best of demonstrations. But I'm gonna zoom out a little bit, and yeah, for some reason it seems to be a little grainy today. I'm gonna click on View again. So anyway, I'll walk you through this pretty quickly, and then I'll show you basically how it works when the image is working a little bit better on it. So what you want to do is, unfortunately, it doesn't give you the boundary of your property, so you have to kind of input that yourself, and that's done the best way is by using this tool over here. Okay. Now, if you have a shape file that has your boundary on it, you can just import that. And but for now, we're just going to assume that we can't do that. So we go ahead and we click on that tool, and that allows me, and I'm not sure if you're able to see this, it looks like you are, to digitize, and I'm assuming in this case I know my boundaries. And when I'm all done, I double click. Okay. And it creates the area of interest. Basically what it's doing is it's going through the process of clipping out all the soils that are in that area. And so there's my area of interest. The next step would be to go to my soil map. And what it does, it's now that it's clipped out all those different soils, oh, it's it did a really large area for me. Okay, so very interesting. So we'll look at a very large area, and then we'll look at a smaller area. So anyway, we've got this very large area and all the different soil series that are inside that. Okay, and on the left-hand side, what it provides you is all the information for each one of those different soils and the acreage inside, and then the percentage of the area of interest. If I like that, I go ahead and click on Add to Shopping Cart. Okay, and I can give it soil map, and I'll say large area, and that'll be the subtitle. Okay, so we have basically your basic soils map with all the soil classifications in there. The beauty of this website is not just that it gives you the soils, but it gives you the Soil Data Explorer. And this is really just what makes it such a wonderful tool. You have all these different topics here in terms of soil management suitabilities and limitations. And so you could do construction materials, building site development. Let's go to land management, though, in view of our time here, and see what topics fall under that. You have things such as harvest equipment operability, mechanical site preparation, suitability for log landings, suitability for roads. So you have all these different ones. I'm just going to do suitability for log landings, and I clicked on it. It opened up more information about it, and I hit View Rating. And what it does is it redraws my map with suitable and non-suitable areas. So for log landings, everything in red is not very suitable. Okay, it gives you all kinds of information along with the rating and why there's the rating is rated poor or moderate or those sorts of things. Okay, so if I like this information, I click Add to Shopping Cart. Another area that I might want to go to is, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit further, is vegetative productivity. Foresters are very familiar with this thing called tree site index, and that's the height that a tree will grow in a given period of time. Trees that grow taller are on better sites than trees that don't grow as tall at the same period of time. So different soils have different site productivities, and that's one estimate of it. We're going to take a look at yellow poplar just for fun here, and I go View Rating. Redraws a map. In this case, blue is very good site indices, and red is becoming less good. Here's the rating. So 103 feet, and I believe this is in the 50-year time period that they're describing. Notice that some soils don't even have a site index, and that's because they're probably not good yellow poplar soils to begin with. You wouldn't find them there typically, so they don't include a site index estimate for it. If I like that information, I click on Soil Report. Whoops, I go up a little further. Let that refresh again. And up towards the top is that Add to Shopping Cart again. I'm waiting for that to catch up to me. And all right, it should pop up any second now. There it is. Okay, so Add Shopping Cart right there. All right, and click OK. And now I'm ready for, and I could do that. I can just go to town all afternoon and create all these different suitability ratings for what's important to me for my property, which is really neat. I go to the shopping cart. And also, if you, what I was saying, it doesn't have your property boundaries on there, but that's okay. You can kind of ballpark it, and your acreage estimates might be a little large, but that's okay. If you're just trying to get some basic information about soil suitabilities, it doesn't matter if you're smack dab on. Okay, what's showing me now is what the table of contents is going to look like on the soil report, and then I go to checkout, and it gives me two methods. I would suggest download later rather than get it now. I've never had any luck with get it now. So go download later, and then you just type in your email address. And hit OK. And basically what it does is it shoots you an email. And I've already gotten it, the one that I developed for this webinar yesterday, and it's sitting on a folder here. I'm going to open it up and let you see what the soil report looks like. Creates a beautiful PDF for you, relatively small. This happens to be 49 pages. I mean small in size in terms of how big the file is, because PDFs are known for that. So I created this one yesterday. It gives you a preface, And I'm going to scroll down a little bit further. Table of contents gives you your basic soil map. With a, that's a much smaller area. A lot less soils in there. With a legend. And then it gives you the map unit legend with the acreages and percents and all that good stuff. Then it gives you a description of each one of those soils. Okay, and I'm going to scroll on past. And I went a little crazy yesterday. I got lots of different suitabilities. Here's harvest equipment operability. Developed a map for me. Okay, so all that good information that we were looking at gives you a table as to why those suitabilities are rated the way they are. I did one for log landings. We can go down a little bit further. Now we're looking at suitability for hand planting there. And then I got into some forest productivity. So this is a black cherry map. All right, all the white spaces, you don't find black cherry there. And all the red is not such a great, so it's not a real red hot place for red cherry, black cherry. Look at eastern white pine, and the red areas where you would expect to see white pine growing. Again, not an incredibly great white pine spot. Looking at yellow poplar, oh yeah, this is a good yellow poplar site. Okay, so stand back and let the yellow poplar grow. It's going to be real hard controlling it in some of those areas. So basically a very nice tool to be able to have. And unfortunately, it looks like I have pretty much run out of time with the other information. I could just bring you over to the North Carolina website. Now, I'm going to go very, very quickly through this website. Basically, you just type in North Carolina Natural Heritage Program, okay, and that's on your handout. And they'll bring you to this website right here, where you have a map viewer, access to that. So you click on the map viewer, and this is really nice. Now, unfortunately, it's not doing everything that they want it to do, and they're hoping in about 6 more months it'll actually provide you locations and information of rare and endangered species. They were having trouble with that, so they took it down, and they're getting that work done, and that will be up and running again over the course of the next year. But this is really neat. If you've got a property, a landowner nearby, and I do this with tree farmers, I will give the address of the property. Here's that same old one I've been using. Whoops. It will look around whatever distance I specify and provide me, in this case it's 3 miles, and provide me a listing. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Whoops. So there's the circle that it drew. And down below, there's not a whole lot that's in here, but as soon as you see it refresh here, you'll see there were 2 different sites. Now these are significant natural heritage sites that it's providing, and it's got some ratings. If you go back to the previous page, it provides documents that tell you what these ratings are. So the representational ratings right here. But so wonderful tool. So that if you're trying to report for somebody, let them know where significant areas are, or hopefully in the near future, rare and endangered species, then where they've been located and probable locations of them. This is a wonderful tool. Every state has a natural heritage program that I'm aware of, and so you would do a similar search in your state. Not all of them have this tool, unfortunately, so you may need to contact them all. What you could at least get is a county listing, or they may allow you to download the GIS data, which gives you the specific information. And So, and then the last thing I was going to talk about, I'd give you a bunch of slides with good information on where you can get detailed invasive insects and diseases and invasive plants. But the one last thing I do want to share with you is this EDD maps developed by University of Georgia primarily. And what they provide are distribution maps. I'm going to just try to demo this really quick before Bob pulls the rug out from under my feet. I click on distribution maps here, and it gives you different plant types that you can query on. You can view distributions by state or by county, and they're even starting to build on animal distributions as well. So I'm going to hit trees, and it loads up all the list of the trees. Let's say tree of heaven, and it gives you your choices of how you want to look at it. Okay, so in this case, I want to see which counties in North Carolina have the Ailanthus altissima in it. And what it does is it shows me all the counties in the U.S. that have reported sightings of it. So I could just move North Carolina over a little bit, use my roller wheel on my mouse to zoom in, and it shows me all those counties. And I could actually query each county and get information. Up on the upper right-hand corner, it provides me takes me out to the USDA invasive plants database, and will give me more information about that particular plant. Really wonderful tool. The nice thing about the EDD maps is if you go out to their front page, it talks about how you could actually help provide information for the database. And that's what that site is set up for, is so that people like you and me, when we're out in the field and we see a plant that's an invasive, or if we think we see an invasive plant, we could actually get its GPS coordinates and include it in this database. And so anyway, I am going to, with that, I'm going to attempt to get back to my, quit out of my screen sharing and get back to my slides. So we've covered a lot of slides, and I'm going to just jump down to slide 27 and leave it here while folks are asking questions. I think we have about 6 minutes to field questions, and while we're doing that, you can see that we actually have 2 more parts coming up, and if Google Earth behaves, which I'm sure it will, on January 15th at the same time, we're going to take a look at leveraging the power of Google Earth Part 1, and then the following week we will take a look at Part 2. And this, hopefully, in that 2-hour period, you will have been able to do some basic data collection or data input into Google Earth, and use it as actually a small, not a GIS, not in any means like a GIS, but it's a small mapping tool. Very useful for creating and sharing information with landowners and colleagues.
So thank you, James, for the presentation. And with that, we have some questions typed in already to the chat window. So let me start going through those so that we can get people's questions answered. So from Mike Jabot, he's wondering, can the property boundary be downloaded to be used in other GIS applications? And this would be the county data stuff that you were showing.
That depends on the county. I have seen some counties that conceivably what you would like to be able to do is to highlight a parcel and then be able to just download that one parcel onto your computer as a shapefile or a Google Earth KML. I've seen 1 or 2 websites that do that, and but most of them will provide you a download spot where you can download the whole county, all the parcels in the county, or a portion of all the parcels in the county, and you can pull that into your GIS. And some counties don't even provide that, but more and more nowadays are providing a download portal for not just parcels, but for a lot of their information, soils, topo, and that kind of stuff.
So
I'll get up with me later on, and we could talk about that.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Sorry.
Christine Justice is wondering, is there a parcel number for all sites?
There is indeed. That's how the county keeps track of your land, of all land on the within the county. And those funny numbers I've been typing in are typically some rearrangement of state plane coordinates, or if it's out west, it might be part of the public land survey way of doing things. But it's just some sort of a rearrangement that each parcel is given a unique identifier to keep it straight in their database.
Okay. And so also, which is typically better, Google Maps or Bing Maps?
I don't know. I've not done a comparison between the two. The tools that I use typically use Google Map aerial photography or satellite imagery. I should really be more correct with that. And but Bing Maps, I suspect in some parts of the country has wonderful pictures, and I'm sure in other areas Google Maps might be a little bit better.
And then does each state have its own search engine for land research?
Not necessarily. Some of the smaller states, okay, you may have to clarify specifically what you mean, maybe offline sometime. But basically, most states actually do have what's called the GIS Coordinating Council within the state, and they may work with each of the counties. Other states, like the smaller ones up in Maine and New Hampshire, I know, counties don't handle any of the GIS data. Basically, the state, all that's done at the state level. And so in order to go out and take a look at parcel data or download parcel data, you go out to a state website.
Okay, here's one from David Fox. He finds it interesting that NRCS uses Google Imagery. Do you have any idea when they will update NAIP in Florida? The last time he looked, the most recent update was 2010.
Yeah, I don't know. They used to use the NAIP data, and they've switched over to the Google because I think Google is better at loading up their data and keeping it. Google data is not, it's not all that new either. It could be as old as 3 or 4 years in some places, or even older, depending on the part of the country you're in. But I think they get it up and online, and it just, I don't know. It might just save NRCS one extra step of having to get that data loaded up. But no, I don't have a very good answer for that. But it's just been fairly recent that they've started using the Google data.
Okay, thank you. So here's one. Is there a link for the post-session survey? Yes, there is, and I'm getting ready to send that out. So it's just 1 o'clock. We'll be sending that out here. Actually, I was just getting ready to do that. So with that, let me thank you, James, for answering the questions in the presentation. Let me share the link to the survey. First, I'm going to post it in the chat window. In case you want to copy that and save it for later, you could copy it and save it as a text file. Also, I'm going to push it out through Collaborate here, and what will happen is your browser, if it's not already open, will open to the survey page. Even if you're not getting continuing education credits, we ask that you complete the survey. If you are trying to get continuing education credits, remember you'll need to pass the 5-question quiz as well as the survey. It'll take a minute to load on your browser because there's 70 some of us that are trying to get to it all at the same time. So the server takes a minute to get everybody set. But be patient, leave your browser window open, and it will happen. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you all. Have a happy holidays.